This, you got every right to be upset. Families are supposed to stay together, not break up. And no matter what happens, your Uncle Tommy always got your back. Forever.
Every season, Tom is repeatedly confronted with new challenges in his pursuit for power and respect. In the original Power, he faced obstacles such as tests of loyalty, betrayal, shifting alliances, new connects, law enforcement, and enemies who were after his position. But one notable dilemma he now faces with D-Mac bears a striking similarity to another family-related challenge Tommy faced with Tariq St. Patrick.
Remember Socrates, Rick. You don't know nothing.
So in this video, we're going to be exploring the complexities of Tommy's relationship with D-Mac, but also how history does seem to be repeating itself. So we're also going to take a look at Tariq's actions in Power and how they resemble some of D-Mac's, but despite them making similar decisions and causing Tommy issues, they're also characters who have many differences. Now I'm also going to take a look at a little different theory in regards to D-Mac and Tariq coming face to face at some stage in the Power universe in a future crossover. Taking this back to Power for a moment, we were introduced to the St. Patrick family who may have been a normal family to the naked eye, but that was far from the case. We were introduced to James St. Patrick, who was a drug-dealing murderer, but someone who wanted to provide his family with a different life, especially for his eldest son, Tariq St. Patrick.
Truth brand will expand beyond my wildest dreams, but more importantly, our children will have legit money behind them for the rest of their lives.
He wanted to provide him with a life he never had, but his affair with Angela, lies about his past, and him not being around Tariq during arguably the most important part of a young man's growth played a huge part in their conflict. At times, Uncle Tommy filled that void, but arguably the biggest influence was Kanan Stark. Through Kanan, Tariq met a dirty cop in Queens who went by the name Ray Ray. When a robbery went wrong with Brains at Big Country, Tariq was given his first real lesson on the consequences and what happens if you don't stick to the plan in the street and drug game. But with Ray Ray looking to clean up the mess created by the three, he killed Brains, Big Country, and Tariq was next on his hit list. Unfortunately, Tariq's twin sister, Raina St. Patrick, was caught in the crossfire. Tariq felt as if he had to be the one to avenge his sister's death, and so similar to D-Mac, his first was also a dirty cop. However, the similarities between the two kills don't stop at their first kills just being dirty cops. Both characters stole their guns, killed a dirty cop, and their uncle had to clean up their mess with the aid of their business partner. One thing we associate with Tommy is his love for his family. He will always be there in a time of need for not just his nephews, but also Tasha, Yaz, JP, and despite his turbulent relationship with his mother, also Kate. So Tommy's always calculating what this means to him, having these relationships with JP and D-Mac especially, and he does carry that. It's really important to him because we saw from Tommy from the beginning, from the very first season of the Power show, Tommy has always been trying to find family, and if he has, how does that really affect him? Those are some of the words spoken by Joseph Sikora after Ghost 309, and now we're in a good place to answer that question.
I was always looking for somebody to take care of. And that was your job.
Tommy grew up with a toxic relationship with Kate, no father and no family to rely on, so he became loyal to those who offered him a sense of belonging, hence his close relationship with Ghost. Now, why I feel it's important to bring this in from Power is because Howie now has a family of his own after all the shenanigans that unfolded with the St. Patrick's back in New York. So Tommy will no doubt want to try and avoid the same mistakes. He wants to do right by JP and D-Mac, hence why he bought JP a new bar and wanted him to bring D-Mac on board to make it a family business, but also keep him out of trouble. And so that brings me on to D-Mac's next move and the implications of his actions. D-Mac was here to get a fresh fade for Genesis, that's why he was at the barbershop, but he found himself protecting his uncle Tommy and Diamond, which is actually one of the differences between Tariq killing Ray Ray and D-Mac killing Seamus. Where D-Mac was killing a cop to protect his uncle Tommy, Tariq was a revenge kill for his twin sister Raina. Two murders involving Tommy's nephews, two dirty cops, but two complete different motives, so what's next? D-Mac is obviously going to be in a state of shock. He just pulled the trigger on a cop, which could have huge consequences. Killing a cop is no joke, they'll throw the book at you for killing someone with a badge. We only have to look at what happened with Ghost and Greg Knox. In recent times there was Tariq St. Patrick who was on trial for a double homicide, which included Officer Ramirez. Tommy and the CBI also have Stacey Marks and their task force hot on their trail, so the last thing they need is a cop body being found, which gives them even more ammunition to come after the CBI or D-Mac. So 1, they're gonna have to deal with this body and make sure it doesn't come back on them. With the Ray Ray kill, Tommy and Ghost strolled in straight away and got to work in getting rid of the body, and making sure nothing came back on them or Tariq. But Diamond says what the hell do they do now? And that's the question. They had plans on using Seamus as an inside man to the CPD to keep them on top of law enforcement, but now they have to deal with a missing cop, which will no doubt raise a huge red flag. Secondly, Tommy will have to do something to stop D-Mac going down the same road as Tariq St. Patrick did in Power. However, this will prove to be very difficult and a different challenge compared to the one Tommy faced before. In Power, there were a lot of external factors that influenced Tariq's decision making. For example, Kane and Stark's manipulation did play a big part. There was a lack of understanding why his father left their home, and he felt as if he was lied to. Tariq stole product, lied, and manipulated for his own selfish gain. For D-Mac, it's completely different.
I want my own shit. I want my own money. Real money. I want my old life back.
All he knows is the streets because he grew up without JP in his life, and so he's had to fend for himself. There also hasn't been that much backstory given about his mother, which does make me think that it is something that they could explore in the future. We all saw Raising Kanan and how they brought Kenya back. Jukebox grew closer to her mother, but then went through extreme trauma. So D-Mac's mother is one to keep an eye on, maybe not for season 2, but for season 3, depending on how and when they want to develop and add some real depth and layers to this character. Now, it's not just Tommy who will want to discipline D-Mac, JP will also want to deal with him his way, and so both of them will have different ways of handling the situation. The only thing Tommy can do is tell D-Mac to keep himself in the house like he did before. I really don't see him giving him the Tariq St. Patrick treatment anytime soon, because D-Mac in essence did what he had to do, and did what he felt was right under the circumstance, which I personally think he had to. Seamus was beginning to be a problem, and it didn't seem like he wanted to play ball with Tommy and Diamond. But having said that, sooner or later I do feel D-Mac will have to get the Tariq treatment at some point in the future. D-Mac has already been shot. He knows the consequences of the game, especially being someone who grew up in the street. Leon said it himself. He's only 13 and he's been to more funerals than he has birthday parties. So just as Tommy says, every moment of your life, if you're not pushing, you're falling. But eventually we all know what road he's going to go down, just because of who he is. He's Tommy's nephew. Which does bring me onto the theory of Tariq and D-Mac crossing paths. Now, 3 years ago, I did make some videos around Tariq and Tommy having a showdown and how there was a lot of unfinished business between the St. Patricks and Tommy Egan. And I am predicting the same to happen with D-Mac and Tariq at some point. So could we see the St. Patricks and Tommy's family coming together at some point in the future? Specifically D-Mac and Tariq St. Patrick, maybe even helping their uncle Tommy on a mission. One thing we can never rule out after that ending of Ghost Season 3 are these crossovers, and the same goes for everybody else in the Power universe, whether it be law enforcement, Tommy coming back to New York, or even Tariq and Brayden coming over to Chicago, who knows, maybe even Kane. These crossovers are well and truly underway, it just needs to make sense for the character and the storyline, which I do think is way too soon for D-Mac and Tariq, but it is something I can see happening in the future, especially with both of them being nephews of Tommy Egan. So with that being said, let me know how you think Tommy will deal with D-Mac killing a cop. How do you see this playing out for D-Mac for the rest of season 2? One thing is for sure, as we all saw with Tariq St. Patrick, Tommy can only control so much, so if D-Mac wants back in the street, he will find a way. So drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.